from our announcements, we are very committed to a multi-chain approach. We've made Stellar public. There'll be more that we will come forward with in the weeks and months that we go forward. So,
Alrighty, everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to another CYPRX video breakdown. In today's video, we're going to be diving into some major developments happening across the digital asset ecosystem. We're going to confirm that institutional interest in the digital asset space is at an all-time high. We're going to be going over some major breakthroughs happening in the stablecoin ecosystem, cover the latest developments surrounding Stellar, and finally, we're going to connect the dots around the Dtcc and speculate on whether they could be preparing for some major announcements in the coming months ahead. We're going to start off today's video breakdown with this interview that the Milk Road did. So shout out to the Milk Road with Matt Hugin, the CIO of Bitwise, and confirm something that he said. Take a second here and listen.
The clarity or quantum risks, like Jim Cramer selling his bags because he's afraid of quantum, are they more like accumulating quietly while nobody's looking? Like what are those conversations been like recently for you?
Yeah, the number one surprise for me over the last month, I've been spending a lot of time with the largest wealth management platforms in the world, right? Whether it's a Wells Fargo or the UBSs or the Stifels, et cetera. The most surprising thing to me about those conversations is just this recognition that those ships have turned slowly towards crypto, and they really don't care about this short-term price. They are orienting around this as an asset class that will emerge over the next 10 years. And it's not as if the bear market hasn't happened. They're aware that price is down. These people are very smart. It's that they sort of understand that that's part of the asset class. And the overwhelming consensus I get from them is just like, this is a slow but significant change, and we're moving in that direction. Maybe an idiosyncratic example of that.
Now, what a great, phenomenal clip and response from Matt Hugin. I mean, that really puts things into perspective. Dude just said he's sitting in with some of the largest GSIBs, the likes of Wells Fargo, so on and so forth. And I mean, Wells Fargo is no small player in not only the financial landscape, but now entering into the digital asset landscape either. So if we remember going back just a week ago, what the Wells Fargo chairman and CEO, Charlie Scharf, said, sharing his perspective publicly on CNBC. Take a second and listen.
Recognize that tokenization and blockchain technology is real. We've been saying that for a long time. You know, you've got those outside the banking space saying they're the only ones doing it, the banks don't get it, and that's just not true. We're all embracing it. We're all building solutions. This is an example of what we're going to be doing to allow our customers to move money more freely, to settle real time, operate 24/7, starting in the fall and then expanding into 27. We're doing it ourselves, but we're...
So he just confirmed, like, blockchain tokenization, it's real, and we are embracing it. This is happening. And so, again, I don't think that Matt Hugin is capping when he says that he's talking to financial institutions, and he said word for word, they're not worried about the price action. He said that word for word. They are not worried about the price action. So take that into consideration via institutions and their interest being at an all-time high compared to the average retail investor's mindset right now is completely distraught. They've been over leveraging for the past 17 years in crypto, and now the market's pulled back. Their leverage positions and their holdings are down. Sentiment is low. People are fearful, but the institutions are not. Here is Helen, former chief operating officer at ICE Clear US. And she goes on to confirm at the recent Solana Policy Institute summit that took place just a few weeks ago that banks are ready.
Trading crypto assets, they're custodying them, they're ready kind of when clearinghouses and exchange. I was going to say as well, in all areas, it's kind of happening right now. Like we're seeing people that are doing tokenized repos, but it's small, right? So to scale all of this up, I think will take time, right? Especially even in the traditional kind of space that we're in. Even conversations we're having now, there's definitely more kind of FCM and banks that are more crypto and digital asset forward. They're already trading crypto assets, they're custodying them, they're ready kind of when clearinghouses and exchanges are to be able to use these rails. But then there's a lot of members that aren't, right? So I think they're exploring what they can do across all the asset classes, and it's going to take some time for it to build.
So she just confirmed that banks are ready to use these new rails once clearinghouses are ready to use these new rails. Y'all, do you understand how massive of a confirmation, of a verbal confirmation that is of where this is all headed? Imagine not being a participant in this space once all of this finally goes live and even just 3% of traditional finance moves onto blockchain rails. Let's even let's highball but a low ball again. Let's just say another 10% of traditional finance comes onto blockchain rails. Could you imagine where we're going to be sitting at? And this is all verbal confirmation in the environment that we are currently operating in, that now is not the time to be fearful. It's not the time. Coming over here, this was another major announcement. We come up to the top of this. This is directly from tether.io, August 13th, 2026. And having been a market participant in this space, I can tell you what a breath of fresh air this is to see. I've been in crypto since 2016. I've been holding XRP and Bitcoin since then. Those are the first two digital assets that I purchased. And, you know, over the years, Tether has been one of the most, concerning things in crypto, from the average retail perspective to the institutional perspective, about their, back and just everything. I'm not even going to get into that. If you've been in crypto for a while, you know that Tether has been one of the sketchiest topics. This, to me, is one of those things out of the many others that I've seen, like Tether working directly with the White House, so on and so forth, that just shows that Tether's going to be here for a very long time and is one of the toughest competitors in the stablecoin ecosystem. Tether completes the largest inaugural financial audit in history. Reading some of these highlights, because, this is mind-blowing. U.S. issues unqualified audit opinion on Tether's 2025 financial statements, the most positive form of opinion an independent auditor can issue. The audit, completed in accordance with applicable professional standards, represents one of the most significant milestones in Tether's history. It is also the largest, I repeat, the largest inaugural financial audit in history. Do you all understand how crazy that is? That doesn't mean in the digital asset ecosystem. That means the largest inaugural financial audit in history. That means over any bank. That means over any financial institution. That means over any business or corporation. This is the largest one in history. And who completed it? Tether. That is such a stamp and smack in the face to anybody that thinks that Tether's going away. Again, the future is unknown. And is it possible? Of course, anything is possible. But we need to start changing our perspective on things as times evolve. And this announcement here shows me, to some extent, that we can stop that whole Tether's going away thing, because this is crazy. The audit complements Tether's existing quarterly reserve reporting, examining the transactions, systems, ownership records, valuations, counterparties, and underlying evidence supporting the company's financial statements. An unqualified opinion, meaning an opinion issued without reservations, exceptions, or caveats, is the most positive form of opinion that an independent auditor can issue. Now, as part of the process, what happened? What did KPMG do? Well, KPMG physically counted and inspected every individual gold bar held by Tether, verifying the existence and identifying information of each bar, rather than relying solely on reports from custodians or counterparties. Now, this to me is huge. Having a military background and having a hands-on inspection of your sensitive items was one of the things that kept us successful as a team and as a unit. So that way we always had accountability, not only for ourselves, but for our equipment. And this, to me, the fact that KPMG went out and got hands-on verification, counting every single gold bar and inspecting it individually, is massive to me. That's huge confirmation, right? If they're not relying on reports, they're not relying on other people's opinions who say that they've counted it. They went there themselves and counted the gold bars. They got confirmation, and then they gave their confidence stamp behind it. They went over the full balance sheet, including the assets composing the reserves and the liabilities represented by the issued token, as well as the income statement, change of equity, and cash flow statements. Each area was subject to independent substantive testing and verification. KPMG did not simply review a set of headline figures. KPMG conducted a full and thorough audit in accordance with AICPA standards, examining the assets, transactions, systems, documentation, and other evidence supporting our financial statements. The result is an unqualified opinion. In other words, it means Tether has a clean audit. Wow. So great news for Tether across the board. I mean, times are changing and old mindsets definitely need to change with the changing tide. Heading over into Meridian 2026 coming up in October, I find this fitting, especially in the regards of speculation via some upcoming or possible upcoming DTCC announcements. Are they going to happen at Meridian? Who knows? But we do know that Nadine Chakar from the DTCC is going to be attending this event, and we know she likes to say some crazy things on stage, and this falls in the timeline speculation via what I'm going to show you guys today. So we come over here to this report. This is from August 13th, 2026. And down here it reads, the July pilot from the DTCC was an attempt to test that proposition under something closer to real market conditions, bringing together exchanges, clearinghouses, banks, and asset managers, rather than limiting transactions to bilateral trades. Transactions included collateral pledges, margin calls, repo trades, delivery versus payment, and transfers between blockchains using digital versions of stocks, exchange-traded funds, and treasuries on the DTCC's private network built using Besu and the Canton network. Now it says here, this is where it gets interesting. The DTCC said it plans to move the services from limited tests towards ongoing uses in October, adding another blockchain network, expanding support for treasury and corporate actions. So right here, it mentions the possibility of them adding another blockchain. And if we come over here to the Defiant podcast, where we had Nadine Chakar, she actually subliminally confirms that they're going to be announcing something in the coming months ahead. So I wonder what announcements we're going to see from the DTCC. Do they announce some more layer ones, so on and so forth? I'm speculating that they are. Regardless of what blockchain we can speculate that they might announce on, she does confirm here, not once, but twice. Twice is not a coincidence, that they are going to be making some announcements in the coming months ahead.
Today, and what we did is we took a subset of those assets and showed how we could convert them into a digital format that work on, and we experimented with two blockchains, Besu and Canton. And then hopefully when we launch in the fall, we will add more to that infrastructure. So that's why.
So she just said, hopefully when we launch in the fall, right, we will add more to that infrastructure. That to me sounds like some confirmation that in the coming months, in the fall, they could have or make some new announcements on adding to that, right? Makes sense to speculate on that, I think. I think that's healthy speculation. But then I heard it again later on in the video. She hinted at them making an announcement the later half of this year for the second time. And that, for me, confirmed my original speculation. So take a second here and listen.
In consideration to be a part of this platform?
I don't think we deliberately set out to just pick private chains. Besu's is a DTCC network. It's been installed for ages, and Canton was really our first partner. I would argue, and I know if you ask the team at Canton, they'll tell you it's a public chain, and anybody that wants access to Canton can. But it started with Canton because they were our first partner that we've worked with. And you've seen from our announcements, we are very committed to a multi-chain approach. We've made Stellar public. There'll be more that we will come forward with in the weeks and months that we go forward. So at the end of the day,
so she just confirmed that we are committed to a multi-chain ecosystem, and there will be more announced moving forward in the coming weeks and months ahead. So what announcements are we going to see from the DTCC? Definitely be looking out for those. I wonder if they're going to come at Meridian, which is going to fall in line with the fall kind of speculation that she just hinted on, where she's going to be speaking on stage at this event. We'll see. But nonetheless, good stuff to start to pay attention to in this ever-evolving ecosystem in the coming weeks ahead. Back to a Stellar announcement. We had MarketNode offer BNY investment funds on Stellar Network. MarketNode, an Asia-Pacific trusted digital market infrastructure operator, will offer on-chain access to select BNY investment funds on the Stellar Network, expanding its shelf of multi-asset investment opportunities for institutional accredited investors. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I just want to read some of the highlights from the head of Asia Pacific at BNY Investments and the chief business officer at Stellar Development Foundation. The gentleman from BNY said, "We are pleased to offer our investment solutions through MarketNode's digital infrastructure, providing institutional and accredited investors an additional channel to access our established investment capabilities. This collaboration brings together BNY Investment's deep market experience and disciplined approach with MarketNode's innovative distribution capabilities to support evolving client demand. And then from the SDF, they say this collaboration is another step towards bringing the world's financial system on chain. So back to what I said a second ago, and back to what Matt Hugan said about confirming that he's having major conversations with banks. Imagine just 3 to 5% of traditional finance comes flooding into digital rails, what that's going to do. The Stellar Network was where the first tokenized money market fund was launched and has become the network for regulated finance because Stellar can help institutions save time and money in a way that is more efficient than with traditional financial systems. So that was a cool announcement to see as of recent. We also had Stellar put this Why Institutions Choose to Become Stellar Validators out on August 11, 2026. I'm not going to read thoroughly through this today. It's a pretty lengthy one, but if you are a believer in the Stellar ecosystem, you hold XLM and you like Stellar and the Stellar Development Foundation, then definitely come check this one out. It's a great read and puts some really good things into perspective, especially from the likes of MoneyGram. It goes into detail as to why MoneyGram chose Stellar and just puts some more faith and trust and backing behind the Stellar Network, in my opinion, is a good read. If you enjoyed, do me that favor, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the platform. Remember, none of this is financial advice. And as always, do your research, be cognizant, be aware out there, and I'll see you all in the next video breakdown.